Grab a box of Kleenex before reading any of these books. Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 saddest deaths in young adult novels.
You're not gonna get away with this.
Yeah? And what are you gonna do? Huh?
Before we begin, we publish new content every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. For this list, we're looking at the most devastating deaths in children's and young adult books. We're considering something to fit in this category if it's expressly written for young people, or if it's commonly given as assigned reading in schools. Be ready for spoilers, because we're not holding any details back on this one.
He's not sick, is he? Probably just homesick. I guess we all are.
Number 10. Hannah, 13 Reasons Why.
Get a snack. Settle in. Because I'm about to tell you the story of my life. More specifically, why my life ended.
The entire premise of the YA novel 13 Reasons Why is based on the fact that high school student Hannah Baker has taken her own life. That fact is known from the beginning of the story, but as the mystery behind her death unfolds, the reader gains more insight into why she made the decision she did.
You think you can just throw me under the bus? Yeah, everyone already thinks she's a slut, so why not just pile on?
Hannah's death happens off-screen in the novel, but as we learn more about her motivation to kill herself, a picture emerges of the tortured life she was leading and how difficult it was for her to get help.
No, come on, honey, it's okay. Come on, baby.
Number 9. Charlotte, Charlotte's Web.
After all, what's a life anyway? We're born, we live a little while, we die.
For a story geared towards quite young readers, this book had a pretty darn depressing ending. E.B. White's 1952 children's novel, which has actually sold more copies than any other children's paperback, follows the story of an ill-fated pig named Wilbur and his new friend, a spider named Charlotte.
That word, does that mean we're friends?
I suppose it does.
After saving Wilbur from a trip to the slaughterhouse, Charlotte meets her own demise at the end of the book. The fact that she doesn't recover is shocking for such a light-hearted story, and was probably an introduction to the concept of death for many children.
Part of life's eternal ride.
Number 8. Tris, Allegiant.
See why they don't want to share.
Someday the whole world's gonna look this beautiful.
Veronica Roth's blockbuster YA trilogy Divergent was hugely popular in the time when dystopian novels were the hottest thing on the market. While the main characters in children's and young adult novels often survive to see evil vanquished, sadly this is not true for our brave protagonist Tris. The character's self-sacrificial nature and her dedication to her cause make this death seem somewhat inevitable, but readers were shocked and saddened by the revelation nonetheless, especially after everything she'd been through. It was truly a bold note to leave the series on.
It is our home.
And it always will be.
Number 7. Rachel, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
So if this was a touching romantic story, this is probably where a new feeling would wash over me and our eyes would meet, and suddenly we would be furiously making out with the fire of 1,000 suns.
Jesse Andrews' debut novel, which was adapted into a film of the same name, has death right there in the title. But it doesn't make it any easier to swallow. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl follows two friends who are charged with keeping an old acquaintance Rachel company after she's diagnosed with leukemia.
Okay, you want to help? You're going to take this girl out to get some ice cream. And me too, because I love that shit. You like ice cream?
Yeah.
In an attempt to deal with the situation in whatever way they can, Greg and Earl decide to make a film called Rachel the Film.
It's not exactly what I wanted to say to you.
Days after it's first screened, Rachel dies. And even though readers knew it was going to happen, it was devastating to see the reactions of those who loved her. Number 6. Beth, Little Women.
Beth is really sick.
This piece of classic literature may not be considered a YA novel, mostly because at the time of its publication, no such category existed. It is, however, a book that most people read during their formative years, as well as an important coming-of-age story. Little Women tells the story of the 4 March daughters, and their trials and tribulations as they navigate the difficult period between childhood and adulthood. Elizabeth Beth March is the most quiet and sensitive of the family, and is marked with illness from a young age.
It feels so strange.
Her eventual death is made all the sadder by the fact that her life went largely unfulfilled.
I was never like the rest of you, making plans about the great things I'd do.
Number 5. Piggy, Lord of the Flies.
We did everything just the way grown-ups would have. Why didn't it work?
You very likely had to read this book in school, and love it or hate it, there are some truly emotional moments throughout the story. Lord of the Flies is about a group of schoolboys who become stranded on an island after their plane crashes during an evacuation from England. There are several memorable deaths in this novel, which examines the true nature of humanity, but none is more upsetting than that of Piggy. The lovably chubby, glasses-wearing boy is killed when Roger intentionally drops a boulder on him. Poor, poor Piggy. No! Number 4. Rue The Hunger Games. The concept of the Hunger Games has death written intrinsically into it, but that didn't make it any less devastating when this one took place. During the games in the first book of the series, Katniss takes young tribute Rue under her wing in order to protect her. Her youth and innocence remind Katniss of her own sister Prim. When Rue is killed by Marvel, Katniss shows an uncharacteristic display of sentimentality and tenderness when she sings to her as she fades away.
A bed of grass, a soft green pillow.
Mirroring that death is that of Prim in the final novel of the series, driving home the point that war sometimes takes the least deserving among us. Prim! Number 3. Augustus Waters, The Fault in Our Stars.
I'm okay.
In a book about teens with cancer, you know you're going to shed some tears. Don't read this one in public though, unless full-on sobbing in front of strangers is something you're okay with. Author John Green subverts expectations in this novel by having ailing protagonist Hazel survive, while her seemingly healthier soulmate Augustus suddenly takes a turn for the worse.
Name's Hazel Grace Lancaster. Please hurry. We're in a silver Jeep at the gas station.
We're not sure what's saddest, when Augustus insists on throwing a funeral for himself before his death, and Hazel reads his eulogy, or when she finally gets the news that he's gone. Number 2. Leslie Burke, Bridge to Terabithia.
That's the sound of the prisoners rattling their chains.
What prisoners?
The prisoners of the Dark Master.
This middle grade classic, and Newbery Award winner, will make you wistful for childhood, but remind you of how keen emotions can be at a young age. The book follows newfound friends Jessie and Leslie, who each struggle with their own troubles, but collaborate to create an imaginary land called Terabithia.
What do we call this place?
Terabithia.
Readers of this book were shocked when they read that while Jessie is out of town one day, Leslie decides to visit Terabithia on her own and drowns in the creek.
No, you're lying. She's not even dead, you're lying!
Jess!
Jessie's disbelief mirrors the readers, because it seems impossible that someone so young and spirited could really be gone.
She brought you something special when she came here, didn't she? That's what you hold on to. That's how you keep her alive.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Number 1. All of them, Harry Potter series. There is no way we could pick just one of these character deaths, because all of them were devastating in their own ways. From the shocking moment Sirius fell laughing behind the veil, to seeing the bodies of Lupin and Tonks lying together in the Great Hall, the second half of the Harry Potter series was a minefield of emotional character losses. You may have been most affected by the sudden killing of Cedric Diggory, or by the sense of loss represented by Hedwig's death in the 7th book.
No! No!
Snape's final moments, Dobby's self-sacrifice, the shocking way Dumbledore met his end, and of course the separation of Fred and George, will stay with us always.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from MsMojo and subscribe for new videos every day.